After completing my 10th class exams in 1979, my father suggested that I go and help my father's uncle and learns astrology. Mathematics being my favorite subject, I learned the calculations. My grandfather taught me how to calculate the inclinations of each planet and how to calculate the lagna and the meridian center MC, and he gave me some birth charts to draw. Thus, I learned how to draw the birth charts first and showed interest in predictions. So, my grandfather told me some predictions, some of the tips that he usually uses for predictions. And after learning those tips, I documented some of them. I verified with my father. While my father and my grandfather have laid the foundation for me to get interested in astrology for almost a decade or 2 decades, I didn't show any interest. Welcome to Sastry Karra's astrological series. This is a series about the US presidential elections that's going to be held in November 2020. Right now, in January 2019, the Democratic Party in the United States, party candidates are slowly coming up and declaring their intention to be the possible Democratic candidate for the presidential election. So in this series of presentations from January all the way probably till June of 2019, every candidate that they have announced their intention to be the Democratic candidate, I will take that particular candidate. If the right data, birth data information is available, reliable in Astro Data Bank, then I will pick that one and analyze that particular native's chart all the way till end of 2019, and this I will continue as long as the Democratic candidates are announcing their intention. Welcome to Sastry Karra's astrological series. This is the second candidate I am analyzing for the Democratic Party primaries. The primaries will be held starting January of 2020, and it will go all the way till June 2020, and that's when the Democratic candidate will be selected. In the first part, I discussed about Julian Castro until December 2019, and my prediction was that it will be a rough ride for him until December 2019. So the chances are for him to withdraw before December 2019 is very high. Now I'm starting for the next candidate, which is Kamala Devi Harris. She is the first female candidate with Indian origin, and she was an attorney for the state of California, attorney general for the state of California, and then she became the US senator, and right now she is trying to become the Democratic candidate for 2020. Now that the US presidential elections for the 2020 is about has just begun. The steam is just it's getting up, and people are started declaring their intention to stand as a presidential candidate in the US in the Democratic Party. What I'm trying to do is that for all of the candidates in this presentation, this is a common agenda that I'm going to have it. The first one is to introduce about the candidate. The second is when did that candidate, that's the first topic. The second topic about is what is the D1 chart, the birth chart, when did at the time of birth, the candidate's birth, what is the D1 chart, and how does that chart represent whether the candidate is capable of ruling a country or not. If the candidate is capable of ruling the country, what are the pros and cons, what are the benefic planets, what are the malefic planets, and I'll be doing a lot of analysis in chapter number 2. And in the third one is, when did the candidate announce his or her intention to stand for the presidential bid. And depending upon the date and time and place of announcement, I will be analyzing the chart and then superimpose that particular chart on the candidate's natal chart, analyze it, and also superimpose that particular chart on the country's chart, United States birth chart, and analyze it, and also superimpose the chart on the current president's chart and see if that particular candidate can can defeat the current president. In the fourth chapter, which I am going to do, is to analyze that particular candidate's 2019 analysis for the year 2019, because the elections is in November 2020, and the candidate will be chosen in June 2020. But before June 2020, in the year 2019, a lot of things can happen. So let's see, analyze this particular each candidate year 2019 and see if there is how would it be 2019 will be. Will the candidate be able to pick up the steam and move forward, or withdraw from his or her intention to run for the president on behalf of the Democratic Party? And in the year 2020, which I will be doing it probably next year, like in November 2019, I will be this year, sorry, this is 2019, in November or December of 2019, I will wait till the end, and then I will try to analyze in 2020, first of all in June 2020, who would be the candidate and how would that candidate chart with respect to the present president's chart. These are, since this I'm working only for the Democratic Party in this presentation, for each and every candidate I will be having this particular agenda layout independently, so that I don't want to superimpose or confuse the viewers.
I stand before you today to announce my candidacy for President of the United States. We are here because the American dream and our American democracy are under attack and on the line like never before. When white supremacists march and murder in Charlottesville or massacre innocent worshipers in a Pittsburgh synagogue, that's not our America. When we have children in cages crying for their mothers and fathers, don't you dare call that border security. That's a human rights abuse. And that's not our America. And let's speak truth. Under this administration, America's position in the world has never been weaker. And as we embark on this campaign, I will tell you this: I am not perfect. Lord knows I am not perfect. But I will always speak with decency and moral clarity and treat all people with dignity and respect. Let's do this. And let's do it together, and let's start now. And I thank you, and God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Before I start giving my analysis, I just want to give a heads up that There was an article in e-magazine called Mountain Astrologer, and in January 2018, that's almost 1 year before she announced as her candidate for president, about California Senator Kamala Harris. And in this article, the author has talked about her chart based upon the tropical ephemeris. And in January 2018, after I had read her article, I responded to the author, Mary Plumb, about my opinion with respect to sidereal ephemeris. In her chart, Kamala Harris chart, what I mentioned was that the biggest disadvantage in is that the natal sun is in Libra. In Libra, sun is debiliated or Nicha. So whenever sun indicates a leadership position, if sun is debiliated or is in Nicha in Libra, then that particular candidate may rise all the way to the highest possible position, but that candidate will always be one step below that highest possible position, because sun being debiliated, the candidate always will be working under someone, even though the candidate, the person, the native is a leader. So look at Kamala Harris chart. She was a attorney general in first she was a just a general public prosecutor. That means she had a boss. She worked as an attorney general. For attorney general of a state in California, the boss is the governor of California. That means she had a boss. Right now she is as a senator in US Senate. For all senators, even though it is been treated as an independent body, but still, for whether you are a senator or a congressman or a common civilian, for all of Americans, there is only one final boss, that is the president of the country. So until now, Kamala Harris, to whatever the positions she has held, it is clearly visible that she always worked under someone. That means she always had a boss to report to. And that's the similar situation where the sun has been debiliated is found in Hillary Clinton's chart and Condoleezza Rice chart. Hillary Clinton was the state minister or state secretary of state for Barack Obama. That means she had a boss, and when she tried to stand as the president, she could not make it just because of this unique reason that sun being debiliated will never become a person without a boss. And the second candidate that I want to say similar situation is Condoleezza Rice. She was the state secretary of the state for President Bush #2 Jr. Even she was had risen all the way to the top and became the Secretary of State, but still she had a boss, that is the President of the country, and she did not stand for the presidential nominee. She did not run as a presidential nominee. But one thing is for sure is, just like Hillary Clinton, had she run as a presidential nominee with a Republican ticket, then she would not had won the ticket, or if she had won also, she would not be able to become the president of this country. For both Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice, the reason is the same, that in their charts sun is debiliated. And now Kamala Harris is here, who is trying to run as a presidential candidate. She's still in her primaries, and for her, even for her, the sun is debiliated in her chart. When it comes to my opinion about Kamala Harris birth chart with respect to sidereal ephemeris, you can see the date here. On 28th January 2018, I posted my opinion. See, what I told is that at that time, right then in January 2018, I said if she is the DNC candidate, then she has to compete with Donald Trump. And for Donald Trump with Rahu in the 10th house and co-joined with Sun, the first house lord, it will be her Herculean task for her to face this elephant. Remember, I explicitly said that it would be an Herculean task for Kamala Harris to face Donald Trump if she is the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party in November 2020. So what I said was in what you call it is in January 2018. November 2020 is the presidential election period. So that means it's almost 2.5 years before the actual elections. This was my announcement or my opinion based upon the sidereal ephemeris. Let me start analyzing the birth chart, the Rashi chart for the Senator Kamala Harris. If you look at it, the Lagnadipati is Mercury. That means Mercury in this sense indicates that the native will be very good when it comes to communications or anything that deals with the communications directly. The native is very good in that. And Moon, the second house lord Moon is in first house. That means that communications will be her primary source to earn Dhanasthanamo, Dhanasthanadipati or Dhanasthanamo, to earn money. And with Rahu being there, sometimes that communication is either wicked or vague or something like that, that it would be difficult for whoever is listening if she is communicating. And if it is a oral communication, then it will be difficult for that particular person, the receiver, a little bit difficult to understand the vagueness, or feels that there is something vague, or may feel sometimes that communication is indicated her mind mentality, the way she is thinking, because Moon is there. So it's something that is unique in her communication skill, that even right from the first house itself you can tell that. And since the first house lord Mercury, the planet that is responsible for communication, is co-joined with the Sun, most of the communications will be with leaders or leadership people with leadership positions and like a higher management, even though the person is not a leader but a high management official or a leader or someone like that, and her communication will be a little bit vague and wicked. And now Sun, the leader, the Sun is being debilitated. The communication sometimes makes her in such a cornered position that she may not be able to prove that she has those leadership skills, or sometimes she communicates the way a leader is supposed to communicate. So this is the biggest disadvantage for this particular native, is there are situations where her communication will be her biggest weakness, or her way she communicated might be the primary reason for failure. And now, having come that, let's go and look at the 10th house lord. The 10th house lord is Jupiter. Jupiter means guru. Guru is the sense academics or research, or in an academical institution. So the 10th house lord is in the 12th house. So that indicates that the native is should have some sort of an career pertaining to academics or a research institution or something like that. Now we need to see is who is the 6th, 10th, while that is the 10th house. So it just tells you the 10th house that. And now let's go and see the 6th house. 6th house deals with your with the native's employment conditions. The 6th house lord is Mercury. So the Mars. 6th house lord is Mars. Mars indicates that the employment conditions will be something that deals with criminal because Mars is a violent planet, it will be either an attorney or a chemical engineer or some engineer, that is some scientist that has direct link with the toxins or chemicals or fires. There's a lot of possibilities with Mars as the 6th house lord, and Mars is also the 11th house lord, which is the Labasthanamo. So the reason why she had gone to became a public prosecutor is Mars. It's the 6th and 11th house lord. 6th house lord is employment conditions and 11th house lord is Labasthanamo. And the minute she had chosen to be a public prosecutor, that's the time when the Mars has activated, and the Mars had helped the NATO to go up the ladder all the way to the Attorney General of California. Attorney General is also dealing and with a lot of criminal cases apart from the civilian cases. And then comes another important thing that you have to look at in the NATO's chart is the 9th house. The 9th house is Dharmasthanamo. The 9th house lord is Saturn. So the Dharmasthanadipati Saturn himself is in the 9th house, which indicates that Saturn, the way the dharma will be followed by the NATO is mostly in relationship with the karma of the particular NATO. So if that karma, she had done something that is good dharma, then the karma will be good. And Saturn is the one that creates a lot of hurdles for the NATO to follow good dharma. And before I go to the next, go in detail about the Rasi chart with other stuff, I want to see the inclinations of these planets. The first and the foremost I see is Jupiter. Jupiter is 0 degrees. First of all, a slow moving planet is 0 degrees indicates that Jupiter is in static, and it says it's in retrograde mode. That means a few days ago it was in static mode, it was in a straight forward direction, then it became a static, and then it started retrograding. So that here for this particular NATO, we can consider Jupiter to be almost on a static state, and the 10th house lord Jupiter is on a static state. 10th and 7th house lord Jupiter on a static state in the 12th house indicates that this particular NATO has a beautiful, amazing career had she gone into academics or a research institution. And that means for that NATO to go into academics or research institution with the help of Mars being the 6th house lord, and also Mars co-joining with the 12th house, I think she would have been more famous had she gone into as a surgeon, medical surgeon, doctor, because 12th house deals with hospitals, place of cure, and Mars is residing with the 12th house lord Venus, and Mars is the 6th and 11th house lord. We know that if Mars is the 6th house lord, there are a lot of things that can happen. And the another thing that I want to say here is the 5th house is Venus. Venus is also the 5th house lord, 12th and 5th house lord. 5th house is higher education, and in the same 5th house you see the Lagnadipati there, and there is a Parivartana yoga between the 5th and the 12th house lord Venus and Sun. Sun is residing in the house owned by Venus, and Venus is residing in the house owned by Sun. So this Parivartana yoga would have made the NATO one of the famous surgeon in the country wherever she was. But she is. But now that she had chosen law as her career and became a public prosecutor, then the attorney general, look at the way, even though she had chosen a non-scientific career, and even though that non-scientific career has no linkage to academics or research institutions, Mars and Venus had done the best they can and put her all the way up to the attorney general for the state of California. And her getting elected as the senator for the same California is just because Sun got debiliated and the Lagnadipati Venus is in co-joined with Sun, and that's exactly what made the Lagna to be one of the best possible things you can. So having said that, what I would say right now is that with this particular NATO, oh yeah, by the way, even Rahu is in Rashi Shandhi. That means Rahu is between 12th and first house. So 12th is hospital, place of cure. So should have been better off, more famous had she became a surgeon, and had been in a hospital or in an medical institute. But now she is in as a senator, as a lawmaker. So let's try to emphasize more on Saturn, Sun and Mercury rather than Venus and Mars. Let's now go and look at the chart from the Vimsottari Dasa perspective with the date of birth as 24th October 1964. In January 2019, when I looked at January 2019, first of all, the Mahadasa is Saturn Mahadasa. So Saturn is the 9th house lord, 8th and 9th house lord, and remember the 9th house lord is Dharmasthanadipati, and it is the Dharmasthanadipati Mahadasa that is now running for the NATO starting 2000, and a lot of things happened in her career after Saturn became after Saturn's Mahadasa started. One of them is becoming the Attorney General for the state of California. The second one is getting elected as a US Senator from California. And now the third one is announcing her intention to be the presidential candidate for 2020 presidential elections on behalf of the Democratic Party. So now that we have seen all these things in her career, let's try to see what exactly happened in the month of January 2019 when she announced her intention. In the Saturn Mahadasa, the Antardasa is Jupiter, yes, generally Jupiter, and the Pratyantara Dasa is Moon. So when you look at it, it is Moon. The second house lord is residing in the first house. Remember I told you Moon is residing in the house owned by Mercury, that is the communications. So the way she communicates is amazing. Remember I told in the beginning based upon her Rasi chart. So when that is the case, naturally Moon has given her the ability to communicate in such a way that people started appreciating her and in a public figure, and appreciating her and trying to encourage her or give her the support to be the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. So at this point, let's stop there, and I'm not going to look at the, as time goes by, down somewhere in my presentation, I'm going to look at the transit planets, particularly Saturn and Jupiter. These are the two, the Mahadasa and Antardasa is Saturn and Jupiter. So I will look into the transit planets of Saturn and Jupiter at the time of announcement, and see how they had made the NATO to take this unique decision. The reason I want to continue the Vimsottari Dasa for this particular NATO is because Saturn Mahadasa ends in October 2019. October 2019, nothing great happens, because everything, whatever is supposed to happen, will happen from January 2020. That's when the first primary elections, if I remember correctly, starts. So what is the Mahadasa after Saturn? That's Mercury, the Lagnadipati. Look at it. The Lagnadipati is with Saturn, Sun. And of course, Sun is debiliated. And then the Antardasa is again Mercury. And when you keep looking at the Antardasa, Mercury Antardasa is all the way till 2022 March. So, and Mercury Pratyantara Dasa, if you go further down, Mercury Pratyantara Dasa is all the way till 2020 February. That means until February 2020, then particularly from October 2019 till February 2020, those 5 months or 6 months, she'll be trying her level best to communicate to the people why she is well suitable to be the candidate for president. And that's that communication period, that is from 2019 October till 2020 February, whatever the charm and whatever the support that he got it, that is the one which is going to make her be the candidate as a vice president. I told you she will not be able to become the president, but the chances are if she becomes the vice president, that means she works under someone, that is the president. So the Sun and Mercury, the Sun being Nicha and Mercury Mahadasa running, the first Lagnadipati Mahadasa is running, Lagnadipati Antardasa and Lagnadipati Pratyantardasa. This is this beautiful period when the NATO Kamala Harris is going to have an amazing communication, and that is going to give her so much hope to the people that she will be the candidate. And after February 2020, slowly it falls down, and probably she might end up being the candidate for vice president. The reason why I said that she might end up the candidate for vice president is because the president for the Democratic Party, the candidate who is representing the Democratic Party to be the president will be announced somewhere in 2020 June. And if you look the Vimsottari Dasa for this particular NATO Kamala Harris, Mercury Mahadasa, Mercury Antardasa and Venus Pratyantardasa. Remember, Venus and Sun are having Pariyavartana Yoga. Venus is the 5th and 12th house lord, and Mercury is residing in the house owned by Venus, and Sun is also residing in the house owned by Venus, and Venus is residing in the house owned by Sun. So that is the period, March 2020 till August 2020. The chances are very high for this particular NATO to be a candidate as a vice presidential candidate. Let me be clear with you. The chances are very high for Kamala Harris to be a vice presidential candidate from March 2020 to August 2020. And when this presidential elections has been announced, if you look at it, the Pratyantara Dasa is Moon. Moon is in Lagna, is in house owned by Mercury. Moon is co-joined with Rahu, and if I remember correctly, transit Rahu is also going to be there, co-joined. Both natal and transit Rahu are going to co-join with the natal Moon. And as usual, Jupiter and Saturn will be in the 7th house from Moon. Oh my God, a lot of things are going to happen in 2020 October. So I'm going to say that the possibility is very high for her to be the vice presidential candidate, but she cannot be the candidate, to be the Democratic presidential candidate. Let's go and look at from Bihuruga Chakra Paddhati, what exactly is going to happen in year 2019 and 2020. If you look at it, she will be completing her 54th birthday completed her 54th birthday in October 2018, and it will go all the way till October 2019 with Mars house 7th activating the 7th house, which is the house owned by Jupiter, and the Mars activating the house from the 7th from its natal position. That is the house, that is the 9th house, and where the 9th house Lord Saturn is residing. That means Mars and Saturn are having a mutual aspects. Mars is also looking at the 10th house owned by Jupiter, and according to Bihuruga Chakra Paddhati, it is activating the house owned by Jupiter. So when these things are happening, if you look at the Vimsottari Dasa, the Mahadasa is Saturn and the Pratyantara Dasa is Jupiter. It's up to all the way up to October. So when these two things are happening, Saturn and Jupiter, the ninth house, the 6th and the 11th house Lord Mars is activating the ninth house, the where Saturn is residing. Something adharma has to happen, and because it is the Mars, I'm a little bit hesitant to say that there will be some sort of a negative force that is making her, that is pulling her down rather than going up the ladder. And this is exactly what might be the reason why she won't be able to make it as a president but as a vice presidential candidate. So now let's go to the next year, that is from October 2019 till October 2020. Mars activates the 8th house from its natal position, which is the 10th house. 10th house is career. Mars is the 6th and 11th house lord, activating the 10th house. And Mercury Mahadasa is running during this period. Mercury Mahadasa is running in Vimshottari, and Mars activates the 8th house owned by Saturn. So Mars is again activating the 8th house and the 10th house. So in October 2019 or close to October 2019, when the Mercury Mahadasa starts, just before the end of Saturn Mahadasa and beginning of Mercury Mahadasa, something happens, and she will be struggling to, using her communication skills. She will be struggling to communicate to the people, either justifying if some adharma has happened, why she has done that, and she'll be having a lot of communication in struggling to communicate, and that might be the reason why people might have a second opinion when it comes to choosing her as the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. Let me look the same person's chart from a different perspective, which is called the Sudarshana Chakradasa. And here you can see, based upon the date of birth and the Lagna inclination, I calculate the Sudarshana Chakradasa. And what I noticed is the fifth cycle of Sudarshana Chakradasa has started in March 2012. I think somewhere at that time, when the fifth cycle has started, she became the Attorney General, or she is already in the Attorney General, and after during the fifth cycle itself, she became the senator for the US. She became the Democratic senator from California. So this fifth cycle of the Sudarshana Chakra is very important in her career, particularly when it comes to the public life. Now that we know that the fifth cycle is starting, it has started, let's go in the fifth cycle, which house is getting activated. On March 2019, it's the 8th house that got activated. That means before the 8th house is the 7th, that is when she declared her intention to become the presidential candidate. So when the 8th house got activated in March, right now it is June 11th. So from 11th July 2019, it's the 8th house Mahadasa and the 12th house Antardasa, which is nothing but Saturn / Jupiter. That's exactly the same Vimshottari Dasa that we are having there too in July 2019 till August 2019. So it's 8 by 12. So 8th house deals with some secret affairs or secret dealings. 12th house is deals with the hospitalization, place of cure, or imprisonment, or foreign travels. So since it is the 8th house / 12th house, something that is dealing with her, because she was the Attorney General, something that is dealing some issues that she had either involved directly or indirectly pertaining to criminal justice will come out, and it will be a little difficult during that period for her to justify why she has taken that decision, or for whatever the stuff that is coming out. But if you look at it in January 2020, February 2020, it is the 8th house Mahadasa and 7th house Antardasa. 7th house is the place where we have transit Saturn and transit Jupiter, probably. No, yeah, in the 8th house is where you will have transit Saturn, and 7th house is the place where you have transit Jupiter, and transit Rahu will be in the 1st house. So it's complicated. In February 6th, 2020 till March 7th, 2020, that 1 month is very complicated. And exactly according to Vimsottari Dasa, that is the period where she will be having some sort of an issues that she has to justify herself, making the people to have a second thought whether is she the right candidate to be the president, is she the right person to be the Democratic Party's presidential candidate.